You only picked up your phone for 2 minutes. Then, somehow, it's been 37. You've jumped between apps, headlines, fragments of other people's lives, and now, your mind is not your own. You tell yourself, just a quick scroll, I deserve a break. But something deeper has already shifted. You didn't just lose time. You surrendered something far more sacred, your attention. And with it, your command. That was your first decision of the day. And it wasn't harmless. Because every decision, no matter how small, is a silent vote. A vote for the kind of person you're training yourself to become. We think inner discipline is built in grand, dramatic moments. It's not. It's built quietly, invisibly, through the choices you repeat when nobody is watching. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." That's where discipline begins, not in theory, but in action. And not in occasional action, but in daily patterns. In this video, we'll go through 7 daily decisions that seem small, insignificant, even. But each one is a doorway, either towards self-respect, strength, and direction, or toward distraction, frustration, and internal erosion. These aren't just habits. They are silent declarations. Rules you teach your nervous system. Pledges you whisper to your future self, whether you realize it or not. So if you've ever felt like your discipline fades too quickly, if you've blamed your lack of willpower or your busy schedule, maybe it's not about how strong you are. Maybe it's about how often you've silently voted against yourself. Let's change that decision by decision. The first decision is this: choose awareness instead of automatic reaction. When your alarm goes off in the morning, what do you reach for first? Your breather, your screen, your thoughts, someone else's opinions? That small gesture before your feet even touch the ground sets a tone, and your body remembers. The nervous system follows your lead. Scroll first thing in the morning, and you teach yourself passivity. Breathe first. Sit still. Observe, and you signal, I'm the one in charge here. Discipline is a form of respect for time, for energy, for self. And the earliest choice of your day either reinforces that respect or erodes it. This isn't about being perfect. It's about not being mindless. Because each unconscious click, each habitual reflex is a rehearsal. And what you rehearse, you become. Try this tomorrow. Before you touch your phone, take just 30 seconds to do nothing. Breathe. Feel your weight. Whisper one intention for the day, not a task, but a posture. Today, I choose to direct my energy. It may seem small, but remember, a drop, repeated, becomes a tide. And as Epictetus reminds us, the freedom we long for doesn't come from what happens around us. It comes from choosing, again and again, what happens within us. There's that one thing you've been putting off. You know exactly what it is. It's not even big. A phone call, a bill, a workout, a difficult conversation. And yet, you keep circling around it. Scrolling, snacking, organizing your desk. Anything but that one task. The problem isn't the task. It's the discomfort. You don't delay because you're lazy. You delay because that action threatens your comfort zone, your image of control, or your emotional safety. But every time you postpone what you know you need to do, you reinforce a dangerous script. I don't do hard things. That's not just a delay. That's training. Epictetus put it sharply, difficulties are things that show what men are, not what they feel, not what they wish, what they do. And each time you avoid, you're not just skipping a task, you're skipping a rep that could have strengthened your courage, your clarity, your center. Here's the truth most people don't want to admit. Discipline is not the absence of distraction. It's the decision to face what you've been avoiding again and again, until avoidance no longer feels like relief, but betrayal. That moment you choose to face the thing that is the real training. And it always starts with tension. Your body resists. Your mind makes excuses. But if you push through, even for 5 minutes, you flip the script. I do what needs to be done, even when I don't feel like it. That identity shift is gold, because motivation fades. But identity sticks. You start showing up, not just when it's easy, but because that's who you are now. Practical Stoic cue. Tomorrow, list 3 things you've been avoiding. Choose the smallest one and do just 5 minutes of it. That's it. Not to finish, not to impress, but to interrupt the pattern of avoidance. Tell yourself, this is me casting a vote for inner strength. Because the strength you want is not somewhere out there, it's on the other side of resistance. You'll feel the shift. Not just in your productivity, but in your posture. You'll walk taller not because the task is done, but because you faced it. This is what Epictetus meant when he said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. The world doesn't have to change for you to feel strong. You just have to stop running from the things that weaken you. The second decision is this: face what you avoid instead of postponing. Every time you choose action over avoidance, you remind your nervous system, I'm safe, I'm capable, I don't flinch. You're not just checking boxes, you're becoming solid. And over time, those 5-minute acts of courage add up to the kind of self-respect no external reward can ever replace. There's a pause, just a fraction of a second, right before you speak. It's the moment where power lives, where you either choose your words or your words choose you. You've felt it before. A trigger, a sharp comment, a tension rising in your chest. And then you fire back. Not because it's the right thing to say, but because it feels right in that heated instant. But what if every impulsive word is a small leak, draining away your self-command? Epictetus was blunt about this. If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. That's brutal honesty, because it means we're not just reacting to others. We're surrendering control. Handing the steering wheel of our nervous system to whatever emotion grips us first. And the worst part? We often justify it after the fact. I was just being honest. I needed to say it. They pushed me too far. But no matter how true the emotion feels, if it hijacks your voice, it hijacks your values. Because your voice is not just sound, it's alignment. It reveals who's in charge inside you, your higher judgment, or your immediate impulse. The third decision is this: speak with intention, not from emotion. It's not about being quiet. It's about choosing when and how you speak. About buying time between stimulus and response. Even one deep breath can shift everything. Try this. The next time you feel the urge to respond, sharply pause. Ask yourself silently, do I want to express or do I want to escalate? Then respond with that awareness intact. You might still speak firmly, but now it's coming from clarity, not chaos. Why does this matter for discipline? Because how you speak trains how you think. Words sharpen perception. They create patterns. And when you constantly vent, dramatize, or attack, you wire your mind to live in survival mode. But when you speak slowly, with intention, you signal to your system, I am not in danger, I am in command. That's not suppression, that's sovereignty. And yes, it's hard, especially when you feel insulted, misunderstood, or cornered. But that's exactly where discipline is forged. Stoicism isn't about being numb. It's about being sovereign. And a sovereign doesn't shout to prove power. They speak when their words serve their values. Practical Stoic cue. For one day, practice delayed speech. When something triggers you, give yourself a 5-second breath rule. You don't have to respond right away. You don't have to win the moment. Just stay in control. And notice, the less you need to react, the more respect you gain. From others and from yourself. Because nothing reveals inner discipline more clearly than how you use your voice. You've replayed it 10 times in your mind. The decision, the email, the next step, and still you haven't moved. It's not that you don't know what to do. You just don't feel ready. So you analyze more. You search for certainty. You wait for confidence to magically appear. But here's the truth. Overthinking is not intelligence. It's hesitation dressed in logic. And the more you let it sit, the more it grows, until the simple becomes complicated, and the possible starts to feel impossible. The fourth decision is this: act instead of overthinking. It's not reckless. It's a shift from passive rumination to active engagement. Because no insight matters without execution. No clarity lasts without movement. And no discipline is real unless it shows up in your behavior. Epictetus taught, if you want to be a writer, write. Not think about writing. Not plan the perfect schedule. Just do. That's not just advice. It's a worldview. Action is the forge where identity is shaped. You don't become disciplined by contemplating it. You become disciplined by acting as if you already are. Why do we hesitate? Because acting means risk. It means we can be seen, judged, fail. But overthinking is a false shield. It gives you the feeling of progress without the cost. It's safer to imagine who you could be than to prove it with action. But every day you hesitate, you train yourself in doubt. And doubt, repeated, becomes identity. It sounds harsh, but it's liberating. You don't need to feel certain to act. You just need to act on what's already clear. Practical Stoic cue. Choose one task you've been spinning in your head. Don't give it another hour of analysis. Set a 10-minute timer and begin. Not to finish, just to begin. This practice breaks the illusion that thinking is safer than doing. And it teaches your nervous system. Action is always an option. You'll feel a rush, not just of adrenaline but of alignment, because motion brings clarity, and clarity brings power. This is what Epictetus meant by philosophy in practice. Not endless reflection, but action rooted in values. If you wait to feel ready, you'll wait forever. But if you move even awkwardly, you send a different signal. I am becoming who I choose to be. That's the essence of discipline. Not perfection, direction. And the first step, no matter how clumsy, is always more powerful than the perfect thought that never leaves your head. It's easy to point outward, to the chaos, the interruptions, the unfair boss, the noisy world, the people who just don't get it, and maybe all of that is true. But none of it changes this. You still have to live inside your own mind. That's why discipline isn't about fixing the world. It's about choosing how much of it you'll let in. You can't control the storm, but you can close the windows. The fifth decision is this: set limits for yourself instead of blaming the world. Because blaming makes you feel momentarily justified, but permanently powerless. Epictetus was crystal clear. It's not things that disturb us, but our judgment about things. The world will always be noisy. The apps will always be endless. The demands will never fully stop. So the real question is, where will you draw the line? Most people never do. They wait for life to calm down. They wait for the perfect conditions to appear. But those conditions never come because the world isn't built for your peace. So if you want to reclaim your inner discipline, you have to become a gatekeeper of your time, attention, and energy. That means saying no, not just to others but to yourself. Discipline isn't just about doing more. It's about choosing less and purpose. Less scrolling. Less explaining. Less performing for a world that doesn't even see you. It's realizing that not every invitation deserves your yes. Not every argument deserves your words. Not every urgency deserves your panic. And yes, it feels hard, because setting limits will make people uncomfortable. But compromising yourself should make you more uncomfortable. Practical Stoic cue. Pick one boundary to set this week. It can be a time limit, a digital cutoff, a no-meeting zone. Anything that protects your inner space. But here's the key. Don't apologize for it. Own it as an act of respect for your focus, for your values, for your future self. Discipline doesn't have to be loud. It just has to be consistent. And every time you enforce a boundary, you teach your system, I don't belong to the world. I belong to something deeper. You'll notice something strange when you begin to limit your exposure. Your thinking clears. Your nervous system settles. And your self-respect rises. Because deep down, your body knows the truth. Being available to everyone is being accountable to no one, especially not to yourself. So stop blaming the world for your distractions. Start protecting your path-own limit at a time. It's not rejection, it's refinement. And the more you refine what you allow in, the stronger you become within. There's always a reason. You were tired. They were unfair. The timing was off. You didn't feel like yourself. And maybe all of that is true. But here's the danger. The more you explain, the less you evolve. Every time you rationalize your failure, you buy a little comfort and sell a piece of your self-respect. Because excuses feel like shields. But they're really anchors. They hold you in place while making you believe you're moving forward. The sixth decision is this. Take responsibility instead of explaining things away. Not because everything is your fault, but because it's your life. Epictetus taught, it is not events themselves that trouble us, but the opinions we hold about them. So when something goes wrong, the project fails, the conversation blows up, the habit breaks, you have two options. Blame the context, or claim your choices. The first gives you relief. The second gives you power. Why do we explain? Because we fear judgment. We fear appearing weak, inconsistent, human. But here's the paradox. The person who owns their missteps without defensiveness is the person we all respect most. Because they show strength not in appearance, but in accountability. They're not trying to look perfect. They're trying to be real and get better. That's what Stoic discipline is. Not image control, but ownership. Practical Stoic cue. Today, when you feel the urge to explain, pause. Ask yourself, is this helping me grow or just helping me feel better? If it's just relief, try this instead. Say to yourself, that was on me. What now? Not, why did I do that? But, what will I do next? Because real responsibility is forward-focused. It's not about self-punishment. It's about self-alignment. And here's the unexpected gift. When you take radical responsibility, you become emotionally untouchable. Not numb, but undistracted. The world can swirl. People can misread you. Plans can fall apart. But your compass doesn't, because you've trained it. Not to point at others, but to return inward, again and again. So next time you miss a goal, Break a streak or lose your cool. Don't reach for a clever excuse. Reach for the mirror. That's where real discipline is built. Not in avoiding mistakes, but in owning them with quiet strength. And every time you do that, you build something most people never touch: integrity. Not as an idea, but as a reflex. Nobody sees it. You cleaned up the mess you didn't make. You resisted the gossip. You closed the tab. You kept a promise you made only to yourself. No applause, no reward, no witness, just silence. And the echo of your own integrity. Most people think discipline is public, waking up early, hitting deadlines, showing up strong. But the deepest discipline is invisible. It's who you are when no one's tracking. The seventh decision is this: do what's right, even when no one is watching. Because that's the moment where you become trustworthy, not to others, to yourself. Epictetus asked, "Who is your master? He who has authority over what you wish for or avoid." But what if no one masters you because you've mastered your own conduct, even in solitude? You don't need an audience to stay honest. You need a standard. And that standard must come from within. Otherwise, your behavior becomes performative, a negotiation with who's watching, not a reflection of who you are. And here's the dangerous thing. When you break your values privately, you still feel it. Your nervous system keeps score. Your conscience takes notes. And a part of you quietly stops believing your own words. That's the erosion most people never notice, until they no longer trust themselves. So how do we stop that? By treating every small act as a sacred contract. Not with the world, with our character. Practical Stoic cue, the invisible oath. For the next 7 days, pick one private disciplinary rule no one else knows but you. It could be: no phone in the first 30 minutes of your morning. Stretch for 5 minutes after your shower. No complaining, not even in your mind. Write down one honest sentence in a journal every night. Write it. Don't tell anyone. Just keep it as an invisible oath. Not to prove, but to preserve. Because when you do what's right in the dark, you walk differently in the light. This is how inner discipline becomes unshakable, not by shouting your progress, but by honoring quiet contracts. You'll notice something start to shift. You'll walk with less noise inside. You'll argue less, seek less approval, need fewer reasons. Because your actions will speak so clearly, you'll no longer feel the need to explain them. That's the Stoic way. Be whole, not to be seen, but because it's who you are when no one sees. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be faithful. Not to trends, not to praise, to your own chosen standard. That's the kind of strength that can't be taken, only given away. And with every invisible act, you cast one more unshakable vote for who you've decided to become. You picked up your phone, just for a minute, and somewhere between swipes, you gave something away. Your focus, your command, your direction. But now, you know that wasn't just a habit. It was a vote. And the day didn't unravel because of fate. It unraveled because of a series of decisions. Tiny, invisible choices. Each one sending a signal. I lead myself. Or, I let the world lead me. We've walked through 7 such decisions. None of them flashy. None of them grand. But together, they form the foundation of a life you can actually respect from the inside out. Let's revisit them quickly, clearly. Choose awareness instead of automatic reaction. Face what you avoid instead of postponing. Speak with intention, not from emotion. Act instead of overthinking. Set limits for yourself instead of blaming the world. Take responsibility instead of explaining things away. Do what's right even when no one is watching. None of these require talent, just intention, just one decision made again today. Epictetus never cared if you knew the right words. He cared if you lived them. First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. And that is the Stoic path. Not glamorous, but grounding. Not loud, but life-altering. Because when your daily decisions are made from intention, you stop being at the mercy of emotion, chaos, and circumstance. You become anchored, disciplined not by force, but by truth. So here's the challenge. Don't wait for the right time. You're in it. It's now. Pick one of these 7. Not all, just one. And live it quietly, fiercely, faithfully. Let that single act become a seed. And watch how the days begin to shape around it. Because every time you choose what strengthens you over what soothes you, you send a message to the world. Without saying a word, I know who I'm becoming. If this video helped you see even one of your daily decisions in a new light, subscribe to the channel. It's not just about more content. It's about building a space where self-mastery is no longer rare, where strength is quiet, but contagious, where stoicism is not a theory, but a tool you carry into your real life. And if one decision today stood out to you, drop it in the comments. Not for validation, but to mark your path. Because discipline doesn't start tomorrow. It starts here, now, in silence, in choice, in you.